Guys, in Denmark, the feed troughs have become a battlefield, not of politics and protests, but rather things like ethics, science, trust. This year, the Danish government told every Danish farmer, put this patented feed product in your animal's feed, your cattle feed, or you will not be compliant. And if you're not compliant, we're going to find the bejesus out of you. Do this. You have to do this, or you're going to be in big trouble. It's a product called Bovaer. I'm sure some of you have heard of this. It's been making news headlines in the UK for a long time. A lot of people pouring Alara food products down their sink drains. Bovaer is a methane-reducing feed additive made by the Dutch-Swiss giant DSM-Firmenich. To bureaucrats, hey, Bovaer is a bold climate solution that can be scaled massively with a few mandates. To farmers, it's a Weird Al experiment that has gone completely wrong and is literally killing their cows. I don't know about you guys, but the word mandatory and patented product in the same sentence don't sound much like food freedom, farmer freedom, or any kind of freedom, really. It sounds more like corporate control, corporate profits. Sounds to me like politicians are getting paid off by the wazoo. But ever since this product has been mandated in Denmark for the last 2 months, farmers across Denmark have been sounding alarms, literally sounding alarms, where they have like 1 or 2 feed alarms and health alarms a day, maybe 3 tops. They've been getting 25 to 30 health alarms coming from their herds. Cows getting sick, cows not eating, cows falling dead. Seriously. Listen to what these farmers have to say.
Denmark just forced farmers to use Bovaer by law. A farmer called Kent Nielsen has come forward on social media, and 6 of their cows are dead. And they think this is Bovaer.
We have a farm in the northern of Denmark. We come from originally from Holland, and we moved here 4.5 years back. And I would like to tell you a little bit about the law in Denmark about feeding Bovaer to our cows. It's the law since this year that we have to feed 80 days of Bovaer to our cows. It's a rule, and if you don't do it, it's just like you can go to the prison, or you get like a big fine, a really big fine. So most all farmers just do it. What happened is that we started on the 1st of October. Most of the farmers do it in Denmark. It's because it's a little bit in the end of the year. It's not warm, so no heat stress and everything. So we hope for the less problems. But we started in the beginning of October with low doses, and we raised it up till the full doses around 20 of October, a little before. And on the 30th of October, we really got problems. It started with on that day we have robots, so we have a health list on the computer, and on that day we had like in one group, we have 4 groups of cows in our stable. We have one group with 36 sick cows. We milk on daily basis around 480 cows, so 36 cows in one group, that's not really a positive thing. First, we thought perhaps it could be something with the ration in the robot or something with the robot, but we couldn't find anything. And the end of the day, it started also in 2 other groups. So at that point, we thought like the cows were really just stopping with eating. And at that point, we really thought it's Bovaer. We heard already earlier some problems about other farmers, and the signals were really the same. So we were almost, convinced that it was a problem with Bovaer we had at that point. So in the end of the evening, my husband and I decided we'll stop with feeding Bovaer because we cannot keep this. If this will continue, all animals get sick. On Friday morning, we had like 70 cows on our health list. And on Saturday morning, it was almost 90. And we already stopped since Friday morning. So you can understand the problems were still rising. On Friday morning, we had the first cow down. So they went to the sick box. On Saturday morning, we had in the morning, we had 2 more cows down. On the afternoon, 1 more. On Sunday, we had also 1 cow down. And we are now standing on Monday at the last cow, just recently, just pulled out and half an hour ago out of the stable. She can also not stand anymore. All have a lack of calcium, the ones who are laying down and just not eating. They just simply stop with eating. And we have a special powder which we gave the whole weekend to all the cows who stopped eating. And we're pumping with them with it. And together with some vitamins, we try to rise, get them up with eating again. With most of the cows, that's working. So it is some treatment for us, which is working. And we hope that it will really stop right now soon with all the health problems, that will go a little bit better, because we lost 5 kilos of milk per cow. So for us, it's like 3,000 kilos of milk daily. That's a lot of milk. And we really don't want to feed it anymore. It's just poison for our cows. They get sick from it. And this is not why we are a farmer. We are a farmer to, of course, produce milk, but also to have a good, stable, with healthy cows. And in this way, we cannot keep that up. And we expect, because a lot of farmers, a lot of countries are also busy with introducing Bovaer to in their country to feed by law to the farmers, by the farmers to the cows. And I would like to say to you guys, go against it. Because if you want to keep on staying a farmer, this is not it. This is really not the way to do it. Thank you very much, and good luck.
Everybody is calling for a much colder, stormier winter. What does that mean for you? Well, it means that there could be possible power outages and some very long, dark days, because as you know, the days are only getting shorter from here on out. Yanasa Trading Co. has finally launched its Bee Yard collection. We currently have natural beeswax candles for sale on Yanasa Trading Co. These candles last about 10 hours each. They're clean burning. Unlike paraffin candles that put toxins into the air, beeswax candles actually help neutralize the air. We only use beeswax candles in our household because we care about our health, we care about our children's health, and we like the smell of warm honey in the dead of winter. Check out Yanasa Trading Co. and order your beeswax candles today. But of course, officials are saying this is all coincidence, nothing to see here. Of course they do. It's the same thing they said when COVID vaccines seem to have some malfunctions. Coincidental death and destruction, nothing to see here. Anyway, so what is this magic powder that they're putting in feed? Bovaer's active ingredient, say it with me here, actually just say it for me because I can't even pronounce this word. I don't eat things that I can't pronounce. I'm not gonna feed something to my animals that I can't pronounce. But anyway, this is what it is. It actually reduces an enzyme in the cow's first stomach and its rumen that produces methane. So the theory here is that if we feed this to the cows will burp less methane. In practice and practicality, what it is we are tampering with the microbes that have built our entire ecosystem. And we're trying to shut that down because our ecosystem is the problem. Cows aren't the problem, they're a part of the solution. Apparently the Danish government isn't smart enough to figure that one out. You see, the methane that cows are actually burping is part of the natural ecosystem, part of what we call the carbon cycle. They don't actually make the carbon or the methane. What they do is they eat the grass that has a carbon in it, and as they're digesting it, they burp that up. Now the methane that goes back into the air then gets recycled back down in. The grass eats the methane and the carbon from the air. That's what keeps plants healthy. It's a system that has evolved, a system that's evolved for much longer than human beings have ever had shoes. Look, long before the first Holstein, the first dairy cow, the first Angus bull, the earth had millions and millions of ruminants. Bison, oryx, wildebeests, deer, elk. Ruminants that were belching methane by the gigaton. So much methane, it dwarfs anything we see in domestic herds today. And people will try and be like, well, we didn't have as many bison as we have cows. No, but when you add it all up, when you look at all the ruminants that once roamed this planet in massive herds, you're talking about a ton of methane. And guess what? The Earth evolved and survived just fine. It flourished, in fact, because of these animals. Our ecosystems would not exist today if it weren't for these animals.
Ancient eras and natural selection have refined and tailored pristine fibers with the resilience for today's days. Evolving beyond the last ice age, bison wool is nature's most dependable activewear. Buffalo Wool Company, 100% proven by nature, 100% American made.
Check out the Buffalo Wool Company collection at yanasatradingco.com. Problem isn't really even the cow. The problem is the system that we've built around the cow, and we haven't learned very much from doing that. The system we built around the cow has, destroyed pastures, destroyed farmland, but a lot of farmers have caught on to that, and they said, hey, look, we could fix this if we just understand how the ecosystem operates. And we're seeing massive improvements on that scale all across the world. The one thing we haven't improved upon is the thought process that we can fix and control nature, God's creation. Now, here's the other thing about Bovaer, is regulators swear up and down this stuff is safe at the recommended feeding and dosage, etc. And then suddenly it's not so safe. It's like, putting lead in applesauce. It's perfectly safe for your kid to eat something like lead, which is not good for them. It's a poison, in fact. By putting it in applesauce, we can increase the flavor, get them to eat more of the applesauce. It really gives that cinnamon a boost. But, there are certain levels to which it is toxic and can kill you. The safety sheets for this stuff actually warn of eye damage, skin irritation. You can't inhale the stuff or it could kill you. It causes potential harm to male fertility. There's so much today that causes potential harm to fertility. Crazy, I know. For farmers to handle the raw product and mix it into the feed that their cows are eating, they have to go through all sorts of safety measures, goggles, gloves, respirators, just to feed their cows something that is labeled as, in theory, safe until you've reached the recommended levels and didn't do it correctly, and then we'll just put the blame on you. Farmers have to wear a hazmat suit, folks. This is craziness. Just let that sink in. The guy producing your food is having to do it in a hazmat suit with a respirator. And like I said, here's the big kicker about all this. If anything goes wrong, if the cow dies, the whole herd gets sick. Milk production drops. Consumers get sick from what's in the milk. The farmer eats the loss and is the one to blame. They didn't follow instructions. Denmark is investigating all of this, and so far that's pretty much what they're saying is, we need to see how this was actually implemented, how the feed was going out. Nonetheless, that it's happening on a wider scale. But because, like I said, this product is mandated, the company making it, not liable. Government's definitely not liable. They've never been liable for anything. It's the folks who are forced to pay for the product and feed it to their cows that are held liable. That's not climate policy, folks. That's corporate protectionism. I think it's even bigger than that. It's corporate capture. Denmark is the only country on Earth so far to be dumb enough to mandate this be fed to cows. Even the UK is starting to back off of this. Congratulations, Danish farmers. You are now the global test herd. The company, Bovaer, is claiming, hey, we have tested this for 15 years. But if you really want to get into it, that 15 years of tests involves a few month or 2 month long studies. Not that these tests aren't done very long. They're done with controlled lab food, lots of controls put in place. That cow is not in a stressful environment. It's not out with the rest of a herd. There are natural social stresses with animals being within a herd. Those cows aren't exposed to any of that. They're not exposed to the changes in silage with the changes of season, which changes the food composition going into their body. Remember, they're given just this straight lab food. These aren't real tests. The Danish farmers are the real test. And so far, it looks like it's failing. Call it coincidence all you want to. Now, I've heard a lot of people think that Bill Gates is behind this giant experiment of Danish farmers and their cows. He's actually not. He's running his own experiments with ruminate out in Australia. From Bill Gates' perspective, he's a smart guy. Australia is a much larger cattle market. If you could get a product passed in Australia and then mandated, imagine the profits there. Suddenly, saving the planet becomes $1 trillion market for billionaires. It's a perfect playground. I mean, it's awesome. Now, ruminate is similar to Bovaer in many ways, but it's a little different. So ruminate is focused kind of on the properties of seaweed. There are actually companies that produce seaweed feed and give it to cows, but that's really expensive. So what Bill Gates has done, just like he does with everything else, is he's figured out a way to make a synthetic form of the chemicals that are supposedly in seaweed that causes reduction of methane when the cows eat it. So again, he's creating a synthetic chemical that he's putting into it. They're labeling it as, you know, it comes from seaweed. It does not. They're not harvesting seaweed and feeding it to cows. That's not how it works. This is a lab-created synthetic chemical that they're then feeding to cows. But imagine getting a mandate for ruminate in Australia. All cows have to eat this to save the planet. $1 trillion industry. Way to go, Captain Planet. Livestock here have become the lab rats. Farmers have become the enforcers, unwillingly, and the financiers. They're the ones paying for it all. And the climate crisis is the public sales pitch. They're greenwashing you into making some massive corporate products that, like I said, they're starting to get mandated. No other choice. You've got to use Bovaer. Now, a lot of small farmers, they can't afford these chemical additives. They can't afford carbon credit audits. This direction is going to shut down small farms, not just in the US. You can consider the small dairyman gone, but in Europe, all around the world. And so what it actually ends up looking like in the future is massive consolidation by giant corporations that are waving a green flag saying, look at what we did. We destroyed your food supply. We took complete control over it. And now we're putting chemicals in your food from the very beginning. That's not sustainability. And the irony behind all of this climate stuff with the cows is that God's creation has already figured out the whole thing in perfection. Healthy pastures, managed grazing, and rich soils. All of these components eat methane. They require it. They sink carbon. Methane oxidizing microbes in the soil actually consume what the cow is burping. We don't need to re-engineer the cow. We just need to fix the soil. Denmark doesn't have a methane crisis. It has a policy crisis and paid politicians. It's a crisis that values patents over pastures and chemicals over common sense. You know, Bovaer has become not just another feed additive, but it has become a symbol just like Roundup. It's a test of whether or not governments around the world that are pushing this stuff actually serve the people or if they serve corporations. Whether science serves truth or serves profit. We should just say the science from now on with quotation marks. And it's a symbol of whether or not we still believe that God's creation, nature, is as perfect as it has been. And guys, this is just a little bit of a warning here. Every time we try and outsmart nature, cloud seeding, whatever it is, we are quickly reminded of who's really in charge. We've seen it again and again. So what do you think? Would you trust a government-mandated feed additive from a private corporation that's patented being required to be put in your herd's feed? Drop your comments below this video. Would you eat these products? And the other thing is again, when it talks about the milk being produced by these cows or the meat being produced by these cows, the disclaimer is basically when applied appropriately. And then they're going to blame the farmer when things go wrong.